Welcome to the Fishbowl Radio, everybody. My name is Chief here, and joining me today is Jalen. We are doing our 2024 Louisiana Ragin Cajun preview of the position groups. We're going to go a little bit more in depth than we would in our season preview because we do more records. This is more orientated toward the roster, basically, of our preview series that we've added this kind of extra thing this year about it. So, without further ado, let me introduce everybody to Jalen. How you doing today, Jalen?
Hey, I'm doing well, Chief. Another great day to be a Raging Cajun. Hey, I'm excited to talk about these position groups. Hey, this is going to be an exciting topic.
All right, so let's kick it off here and talk about the most prolific position in all of college football, which everybody knows their name, whether they're starting quarterback, basically. So QBs, how you think the Cajuns this year coming? We know they lost Deion Chris to Houston to the transfer portal, but very talented group they have coming back here, and a lot of like in-game experience with Ben Wooldridge and Chandler Fields basically being your front two guys, one and two in the depth chart. But how you look about these guys behind them?
Yeah, I think behind them, Chief, it's kind of I hate to use the word iffy, but it's kind of like, okay, who's going to be the third and fourth guy? Now, you also have who's a freshman last year, Lunch
Dwayne
Dewanye
Winfield.
Winfield. Yeah. Yeah, who played a little bit towards the end of the year and had a couple of good snaps. He got his feel for a little bit in the game. So I think eventually he will be your third guy. But I don't think the depth chart either way you go with Ben or you go with Chandler. One of them is going to be number two, and then you got Lunch right there at number three, who's a dual threat quarterback. I think the quarterback position this year for the Cajuns, they're stacked. I think as far as experience, as far as leadership, that's got that. Of course, that's the most important, very important position on the team. But at the same time, a lot of these schools in the Sun Belt are dealing with freshmen, are dealing with transfers. These guys have been in the program for at least a year, so I think they're stacked at that position.
So what I'm thinking here is, so you have a very talented group of quarterbacks here. So I think Chandler's going to win the job because he's just shown to be more healthy in his terms of his career as a raging Cajun. Whenever you look through, he was here when Billy Napier was here all the way to this year, his senior season here at Louisiana. So, and toward the end of last year, Chandler was, he carried his team through a couple of, very big games. Like he played against them in Troy, one against ULM, and, played with Southern Miss, the New Orleans Bowl, that kind of thing there. So you get a lot of, familiarity with the offense, and he knows everything about. Same thing with Ben. You get the same kind of thing with Ben. They're both seniors. They both are familiar with how Dez runs things. Chandler a little bit more so because he had that extra year when Billy was here and Dez was on the same coaching staff as that. But you look here, I think quarterbacks is definitely one of the strongest positions in position groups on the Cajuns this year because I think that's the way it's built out. A lot of senior leadership. This team is really stacked with a lot more veteran guys than previous years for the Cajuns because they had a lot of injuries basically on the roster, like at corner last year and run defense and stuff. So we're going to get more into that later on, but that is something that we're going to have to look at here is how do the injuries pile up? Do you have enough depth to overcome your injury problem that you might have here? That's what the Cajuns have dealt with the last 2 years. So, and we'll see if they can break that 6-7 have going. So we'll see what they can do here. What running backs here. So, uh, Jalen, what you think about running backs of the Cajuns entering 2024?
So I want to say with the running back position, though, Chief, I want to say the only major key contributor that they lost was Jacob Kabodi, who's now with the New Orleans Saints, as you know. That's awesome. But I think the one of the lead backs, Draylen Washington, who's probably most likely going to be your starter, workhorse back. He's back this year. Zylan Perry, who made an impact last year at the position, he's back. And then you also got to go with Elijah Davis, who was if I'm not mistaken, was a freshman last year he's from New Orleans. I can't not think of his nickname was Chief that they called him, but he had some meaningful snaps too. So I think running back is another position where the Cajuns are like, all right, we're good at the running back position. And you know what's great about that? When you have great quarterback play, you great
Okay, so so running back play, we talked about it, is a very interesting position. When you got great quarterback play, great passing and going, it's going to open up the running lanes in the offense here. So whether you're beating them with a deep ball or medium throw or whatever it is, you're going to be able to take advantage of those mismatches on the outside whenever you get those holes opening up for your running back. So looking at the roster for Louisiana at running back here, you got Jalen mentioned Elijah Davis, Draylen Washington, Zylan Perry, Chaz Ward, Stephen Blanco out of St. Martinville, Hutch Wiley out of Lafayette, and Kendra Williams out of Karen Crow, Keelan Sherman out of Baton Rouge, and Tylen Citizen in Dusson as well. That is your running backs for the Cajuns here. That's a lot of running backs, like they have a lot of guys here, but Draylen Washington looks like to be the lead guy, downhill runner, very physical, will punish at the point of attack here. So he's your bruiser back. He's gonna be your bruiser. Elijah Davis. So if the guy behind Draylen, as it looks like here, Elijah's definitely more of a change of pace back. He's got a lot more speed there. He could be a home run hitter for sure here with the Cajuns this year. And Zylan Perry right after him. Zylan Perry had some carry issues last year with fumbling the ball and stuff, but if he can resolve that this year, change up his because I was listening to Coach Dad's talk on the Cajun Connection podcast, official Raging Cajun podcast earlier today, and he had alluded that this year, like, hey, if you don't straighten up, you can't really be on the team. So, but he does have a lot of big home run threat ability. I think that's very important too, because Zylan Perry had played quarterback, in high school, so there's a lot more, you're a lot more in space as a quarterback. You have guys running here and there. You got a lot more space. The way you handle the ball as a ball carrier and being a quarterback is different than being a ball carrier being a running back. Running back, you're in a lot of close quarter, getting hit constantly. People are all around you basically. They're all punching the ball or trying to strip it out of you and stuff. So that is something there that I think as long as he can work that out there, he'll be perfectly fine. So I think Zylan Perry's got a lot of boom ability here. He could definitely surprise if at running back position for the Cajuns if he's able to, well, for one, with everybody, stay healthy. Secondly, take care of the ball, don't commit turnovers, and you'll be in a really good shape there. What you think, Jalen? I know you got kind of cut
oh
out there.
oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think 100% ball security has got to be number one, especially when it comes to having great quarterback play. And like I said, also all those names that you talked about and the names I kind of mentioned, same names I mentioned earlier, a lot of those guys got meaningful snaps last year and some even the year before that. So I think that the Cajuns are also stacked at running back, and they should have no problem this year when it comes to handing that ball off, especially running backs like Draylen Washington.
So let's move up to. We're going to go a little bit outside on the offense here. Wide receivers here. We got this from the Rage Educated website. Here's the roster: Harvey Broussard, Jacob Bernard, Raji Dennis, Lance Lagrange, Dalen Cambry, Charles Robertson, Robert Williams, Dale Martin, Landon Strother. Gotta go scroll down here a little bit. There's a lot of wide receivers. Kendarius Wade, Travion Colbert, Landon Baptiste, Kristen Pilette, John McCall, Tavion Smith, Jaden Johnson. Let's see where I'm at here. Okay, we got two more. Bradley Wright and Cullen Charles are your wide receivers for the Louisiana Rage Cajun 2024 football team. So, I've heard Harvey Broussard could be a big breakout name this year for them. Jacob Bernard, I think Jacob Bernard and Robert Williams will be your two guys, and I think Lance Lagrange, if he can avoid injuries here, will be very good here. This wide receiver core has a lot of seniors. Dalen Cambry is another one. There's Dale Martin, a senior himself, so that's four. So you have veterans on this wide receiver squad that have been there and done what they can do here. Tavion Smith, another senior. So there's five. You got five seniors, so they definitely should know how all things work here for sure. being around the program, being seniors here. Um, I know Lance Lagrange. He's looking to be a breakout star this year, from what I've been hearing around the complex and stuff. So they're very excited about him taking that next step for sure to become the star wideout of the Cajuns this year. So what do you think, Jalen?
I think also I've heard good things about Lance. The couple press conferences that I've been with Coach Dez and seen him um talking about his team. I've heard him say many a times where Lance is it could be an impactful player, and he wants him to be an impactful player. So that's him. Another name in the wide receiver group, and like you said, Harvey Broussard, who had a breakout year last year, coming from St. Martinville. He had a great year. It's going to be a sophomore season. Then you got Robert Williams, who's returning, who caught a lot of passes last year from all three quarterbacks the Cajuns had throughout. Jacob Bernard is one of those sneaky receivers who they had kind of had placed a little in the slot. He's returned. So they have a lot. Dalen Cambridge, another name who I remember last year, Chief. He made one of those great plays. I want to say on special teams to help them win a game. So, they have very impactful wide receivers returning. It's yet another position that I think is where the Cajuns are going to be great at. And you got the X, you got the Z. I think this team on offense is looking great, Chief. If I'm be honest with you, and I see why at Sunday Media Day, Coach Dance was hype about the team this year, saying this is the team because I think it is. I know we're talking about offense right now, but it's great to hear. It really is, especially
I
with this wide receiver group.
I think coming out of it here, I think this like what the reason Daz does have a lot of reason to be excited because he has a veteran team for the first time in 3 years. That's something that will help him out, as the season goes along here when you need that veteran leadership toward the second half of the year and get you to the finish line because the first 4 to 5 games as a freshman, you're trying to figure out get the flow of everything to figure out how everything's going here. So kind of some freshmen it's a learning curve. The games of football at the different stages that you go through, like high school to college, a lot more faster pace. Let alone like um, finding what building your class is on campus. Let alone like how college is compared to high school. It's a lot more lax whenever you go from high school to college as just a regular student. But to go as a student athlete trying to handle both those things, it's a big adjustment for a lot of these guys. So there's a lot in their life that's changing right now, and the semester hasn't quite, you know, we haven't really, they're about to crank everything up basically. So if they haven't already, I haven't really checked to make sure. But anyway, but I've been gone from UL since like 2017, so I wouldn't really know when semester start. But yeah, first game coming up on August 31st against Grambling, and would you call the stadium being renovated under construction stadium is going to be interesting to see for sure. But yeah, I think Dez does have a lot of excitement coming in this year because this group is very veteran, and it's a weird way to say it because you have to literally recruit these guys every single year again to commit to your school because of the NIL and transfer portal because there are always people nabbing at them from every single direction. Be like, oh man, you should go to Arkansas State or ULM or Tulane or everybody's trying to talk to these guys and get them to go to these different locations and stuff and play football for them. And you're 24/7 recruiting. That's basically the best way to say it. Today's landscape of college football is that you are 24/7 recruiting for sure. So let's go move on to a different position group here. Let's talk about tight ends. This is a young group. This is a very young group here. So Terrence Carter, redshirt sophomore, Caleb Bonin redshirt junior, Teddy Golick from freshman Homa, Rhett Gidry, a junior, Jonathan Caldwell, redshirt sophomore, T.Y. Stammy, redshirt freshman, Caden Jensen, redshirt freshman. So look, they got like let's even count them like four. You got 7 tight ends, but you have no seniors. So you have like Terrence Carter was featured a lot last year from Dez as a freshman, and he got better as the year went along. Now he's expected to be one of the top guys, veteran guys, and that is a big adjustment for Southmore. This is going to be one of those interesting position groups that I'm looking at here because this is a little bit different than you would look at the other position groups here because this is definitely younger than the other ones. What do you think, Jalen, about that?
No, it definitely is, Chief. I agree with you with that. And I think coming into this season, Terrence Carter has a big hole to fill, especially this will be his first year really fully getting into the game because in years past they've had Neil Johnson. Neil Johnson has been a great tight end for the Cajuns for the last couple of years. So that's a lot. That's some big shoes to fill. And I know Terrence can do it, but it's like you said, it's a lot for a guy who did play last year, but to play meaningful snaps, meaningful minutes, and he just got to prove that he's the guy out there to lead this group, which I think he can. But this is a young group. This is probably one of the youngest groups out of the whole roster when it comes to tight ends. And Coach Dez loves using his tight ends in games, big guys who can catch the ball. So I think it's going to be an adjustment. I think these guys can do it, but only time will tell with this. But Terrence Carter is going to be your number one guy, and I'm ready. I'm ready to see him step up and be that guy.
Yeah, I'm excited for him too. He's going to be presented with a great opportunity here to, lead this tight end group here and, be the guy because I think he could do it. I think he's got all the physical attributes, and I think mentally he's in the right spot that he needs to be in, which is very important. Mentally, if you put the prep in mentally, you physically, if you got the tools, you'll be able to do it. I think he definitely has the tools to do it. So I think he'll be all right. I think he'll do what he's got to do and, do his job very well. So if you look at that there, the other guys, it's gonna might take them 2, 3, or even 4 games to even get into a gel. Like, okay, this is how this works. You got a couple of freshmen in this position group here, so you know they're gonna have to learn how their blocking schemes are, which they're working on it in camp. But camp's different than regular real time game because they're gonna might be throwing different formations at you, different Mike linebacker blitzes. Those kind of patterns will show up in those games. So you have to figure out like, okay, am I going to pick up this guy or am I going to go hit weak side linebacker here because he's coming under pressure here? Or you might have to take out the nickel corner coming on a corner blitz. You know, those are different things that you have to look at here with these freshmen. They're going to understand how to do the playbook and understand how all these things work here. It's a challenge for sure. Takes a lot. Like you got to remember where all these guys are all lined up and stuff. So and where they're out in the field and take account of what kind of formation that the defense is running, which that's different. So looking at this group, one of the younger groups of the Cajuns, but I think they'll be all right once they get down the field here. So let's go on to the next position group here. So I know we're sticking more with offense here. Let's see, I'm trying to find one that is kind of okay. Offensive line, I found them. Cooper Forham, redshirt freshman. Ryder Bentley, freshman. AJ Gilly, redshirt senior. Congrats to Gilly being on the watch list there. Jarek Deedy, freshman. Landon Burton, a redshirt senior. Zay Alexander, redshirt freshman. Andrew Martinez, redshirt freshman. Jackson Hammond, freshman. Zachary Thomas, redshirt freshman. Ethan Clark, redshirt sophomore. Ryan Urbanium, redshirt junior. Bryant Williams, redshirt sophomore. Xavier Brown, redshirt freshman. John Bragg, redshirt freshman. Tamaja Jones, freshman. Jax Harrington, redshirt junior. George Jackson, redshirt junior. Jamarian Gooch, sophomore. DJ Williams, freshman. Peyton Polk, redshirt freshman. Caden Morrow, redshirt sophomore. Matthew Broussard, redshirt freshman. King McGowan, redshirt senior. There's a lot of linemen here. Quentin Williams, redshirt sophomore. Mackie Mahilio. Oh man, I messed that name up. Redshirt junior. My bad, Mackie. Oh, I'm about losing my breath. Okay, because that's a lot. Well, you need a lot of offensive linemen anyway here, but yeah, I think this group here looks pretty solid here. You got Mackie. You got AJ Gilly. I'm trying to think of some other names. I'm trying to find who I saw last year. I seen Quentin Williams. I got some time in last year. Jax Harrington. Yep, he got time last year. So yeah, like looking at this group here, I seen Burton. I got time last year too. Uh, they're going to be good. I think this line's going to be good. The Cajuns have always been kind of a run first kind of team anyway, mix in with some pass plays, but like this offensive line is a line that gets drafted, and they will probably continuously get drafted. Uh, which started under Napier. That was a trend that we saw happen under Napier. So what do you think, Jalen? You think this is another like strength for the Cajun, this offensive line?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's another strength, especially when you got a leader like AJ Gilly, who's one of the top offensive linemen, not even just in the Sun Belt, but also in the whole country. And even when I talked to him also at Sun Belt Media Day, he said he want to win. They want to win championships. He want to get to the league. But first, most importantly, he want to be there to protect the quarterback. And that's exactly what these guys are going to do. And not only do you have uh, those starters, but also the guys who are going to be number two. You have a lot of those guys who played meaningful snaps the year before. So it's just like, especially like a guy like you said, like Mackey, Jax Harrington, who's probably going to be one of your starters who played significant snaps last year. Landon Burton, who's was likely going to be your starting center, played meaningful snaps. So it's like the offensive line there. I think is great from start to finish. There, they have a lot of depth also on this team. The offense is, like I said, just looking great, Chief. I'm excited for the team this year. I really am. And just looking at these positions, it's like, oh yeah, I don't see how this team was picked third in the Southwest. I don't understand it myself. I really don't, especially with all these guys returning. And these some big names in all who are going to protect Chandler, who are going to protect Ben, whichever one's going to be your starter.
So yeah, I think we got the offense basically pretty much covered here. I'm gonna go look and see. Fullback. I don't think I've seen any fullbacks on the roster to be honest with y'all. Which is, full. I kind of feel bad for fullbacks in general because they're not really represented very well in the game. They usually just put another running back in there. Which bring back the fullback, man. I'm all about like the big bruise. Yeah, they ain't got no fullbacks on the roster, which there's not really a need for them anyway because they like to have the running backs. But man, I do miss the fullbacks though. Like Mike Al Scott from Tampa Bay is probably my best example I can give y'all, man. Like he's just a big freaking bruiser, dude. He was a beast at Tampa. All right, let's go defensive side of the ball here. Let me go find a defensive lineman here. Offensive linemen. There's the linebackers, kickers. Now, I'm excited about this defensive line group here coming up here. Jordan Lawson, Antonio Bayless, Mason Narcisse, Chase Edwards, Fitzgerald West Jr., Kadarius Miller, Priest Ash, Kyron Mims, Maxie Bowden for, let's see, go down. James Klingberg, Jeremiah Holtz, Ashton Wright, KJ Riley III, Lance Williams, and that's your defensive ends here. So, once like I said before, on many of these groups here, so they have some seniors in this group here. Jordan Lawson got plenty of playing time last year. Mason Narcisse got plenty of time last year. Fitzgerald West, I've seen him play last year. Kadarius Miller got playing time. So, like I said, this is a veteran group here. Now, the Cajuns did lose their defensive coordinator, Lamar Morgan. He, I think he went to Michigan State. I'm trying to remember that off the top of my head, but yeah, I think he had left. So Cajuns got a brand new defensive coordinator coming up here. For them here, they struggled stopping the run last year, and that was something that, if you look at, was going to definitely be a moment of like, when you get in the red zone, teams are going to run the ball against you. It's more likely in the red zone, obviously, because the field's condensed. Passing is kind of more tightly bound, and there's more opportunity for interception and stuff, which the Cajuns done very well. They have a good secondary last year. So, Jim Salgado, 30 years of experience in NFL and college ranks. He was an assistant coach, defensive coordinator, linebackers coach, nickelbacks coach, and safeties coach. He was previously the defensive coordinator at Princeton from 2013 to 2016, and he coached for the Buffalo Bills in the 6 seasons. In 2023, he coached at Michigan State before joining the Ragin Cajun. So I think that experience is going to help out a lot here. So what you think, Jalen, about Jim Salgado, and will they have a better run defense this year?
I think they'll definitely have a way better run defense than they had last year. I mean, adding those over 30 years of experience as a defensive coordinator, coming from the NFL ranks and coming to a great team like the Raging Cajuns are in the Sun Belt, I think he's going to add that. He's going to help these players out, especially these veteran players. I think those names, like we mentioned earlier, like Mason Narcisse, Jordan Lawson, a lot of guys on that defensive line who played a lot of meaningful snaps last year. But it's just going to add more to them. He's going to add more to their Swiss Army knife, or they are, because they can spread around the defensive line up multiple places. I think it's just gonna add more. They already have. They now I would say too, there isn't a lot of depth compared to other positions on this Cajuns team. But a name like Fitzgerald West, a guy who went to LCA, who transferred from LSU, he's going to be in the mix. So I think it's great for the defensive line, and especially adding Salgado, adding him to the team. So I think we shouldn't sleep on the defense this year. And I know we haven't gotten to the rest of the defense, like the linebackers and the secondary yet. So I'm gonna keep a pause on that. But I will say we should not sleep on the defense because I think they're going to be way better than they were last year, especially when it comes to stopping a run. Because I think it's their mission this year is to stop the run. Because what they're able to do with the pass game.
Yeah, so Fitzgerald West, he did see the field at LSU and some of the non-conference games, like not bigger games there. That's the reason. Like I think playing time was one of the reasons why he transferred. But look, he's going to get an opportunity here to play at the Cajuns here. So looking at I think this is going to be a solid group for them. I'm thinking that they might have a better run defense here and get more better pressure from the quarterback. If they could penetrate, get and disrupt the pocket, they should do very well. And we'll see what happens there. But look, this is going to be one group I'm kind of keeping an eye on for sure. As will we see the same thing we saw last year, and hopefully that isn't the case with the running game as concerned here. Hopefully they're very disruptive here. But Des did talk pretty good about them here. But the next group we're going to talk about, he really thought they could perform at a championship caliber defense, and that is the linebacker group here. Which there's a name on there that I was interested in seeing here, and you're gonna see it here. Uh, Redshirt Junior Terrence Williams, linebacker. Casey Osai, linebacker. Khalif Edwards, linebacker. Jaden Duggar, linebacker. Uh, I cannot say this name. Glass, redshirt sophomore. Ethan Veal, freshman. Trey Fight, redshirt sophomore. Connor McPherson, freshman. Micah Johnson, redshirt freshman. Caleb Caboti, redshirt year. Emilio Soldavilla, redshirt freshman. Hayden Darbone, redshirt freshman. Shout out Eunice. Ben Bienvu, freshman. Jaden Bro, freshman. So yeah. So look. Now I did mention there's four freshmen back here, but there's a lot of juniors and a lot of seniors here. And the one name that stuck out here, and there's a little bit of something that Terrence Williams. And you're probably wondering where that name sounds familiar from. He was a running back last year. And, listening to this, he played running back and linebacker in high school. So he was a dual threat, dual position player. And they really didn't know where to put him, according to Dez. So they put him at running back for the first 2 years. And they thought he did well, but during bowl practice, for New Orleans Bowl, they flipped him. They flipped him on the defensive side of the ball to see how well he would do. And, it's natural. That's a natural progression for him because if you look at it, he was a linebacker in high school, and he took to it like a pig to mud, basically. So, natural fit. Just right in the glove, natural fit for him. So, it was like in his sandbox. It was in his wheelhouse. He played very well. He was making plays in practice for it. So he's going to get a whole spring and a whole summer to really fine tune him, getting back into that linebacker role that he was playing in high school. Now he's going to get back at it on the collegiate level, and he already knows the offensive side, how a college running back's going to think and how these guys can prepare. So he's going to be able to, I think that's going to be another asset for him going from running back to linebacker, because you're going to know how that offense is going to operate. He's going to notice how the line's blocking and what that probably means for whether it be a pass play, pass block, what position role is the running back going to have here. So that's something that's going to be interesting here. Casey Osai, another solid leader on this defense here. I think Des is right. I think this is one that I think this could be a championship caliber group here. I think this will be the group that might really anchor the defense down at that linebacker core. What you think, Jalen?
Oh, I think so. I agree with you 100%. Casey Osai has been the leader of the team on defense the last couple of years. He's always been making plays. Good teammate, great guy. Like I said, the pleasure of talking with him again at Sunbelt Media Day. Expectations are high. He was basically saying how last year, like they had to get the young guys going. Well, those young guys are now veterans, and they're under his leadership. I think the linebacker core is going to be better. They're also another group that's going to be able to stop the run. Talking about Terrence Williams, I think he's going to be a man on a mission. And like you said, if I'm Draylen Washington, I'm Zylan Perry, I would hate going against him in practice because he's going to know what their moves are because he played running back for a couple of years. Like you said, he knows those plays. He knows run the running back position, so that's going to help them on defense and team him up with Casey Osai, especially with these other guys, especially like Khalif Edwards too, another guy who played great games for them also last year. I think it's a great linebacker core. I think Dez did it right on the money by switching him over to linebacker. I think Terrence Williams is going to have a great year. I think the whole linebacker core is going to have a great year. And they're also going to team up with that defensive line, and they're going to be able to stop the run.
Yeah, so I think this group is going to be fine. We'll see what happens as the season goes, but I got good expectations for them. So linebackers, let's find the safeties. Or would you rather do corners?
Uh,
Let's do
yeah, we
corners.
can see.
There's a lot of
Yeah, we can
corners.
start with corners.
um, Avery Demery, defensive back. EJ McDonald, defensive back. Shardwell Nakabua, the second cornerback, redshirt junior. Caleb Anderson, redshirt junior. Amir McDaniel, redshirt senior. Keon Martin, senior. Jeremiah Moses, redshirt freshman. Lorenzo Dubois, redshirt sophomore. Justin Agu, redshirt junior. Denham Day, redshirt sophomore. Khalid Jacob, redshirt sophomore. Cedric Moore, freshman. So, Keon Martin is definitely the leader of this cornerback group. Caleb Anderson, he's got some playing time last year. But this group had got hurt a little bit last year. But they played extremely well. I'm expecting that to continue. Hopefully, there's no drop off or anything here. I'm expecting Keon Martin to lock down one part of the field here. I remember in the off season, he was going at him and another running back was when NCAA football, not NCAA football. I keep wanting to say NCAA football, college football 25. Um, which I got to give Keon Martin a shout out because I beat Georgia for a national title because of him giving me an interception in the end zone, which would have tied the game up. And we won a national title with them on college football 25 on my dynasty. So I got to give a shout out to him for stepping up, making a great play there. But like him and Arkansas State running back was going at it on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, that is one thing that we're going to look at here. This team is a very ball hawking group. They can pick it out of the sky. They definitely can cover sideline to sideline. They are very good at doing that there. So we'll see what happens there. But what you think, Jalen, about this secondary group?
Yeah, secondary is another great group. They have a lot of experience, a lot of seniors in this group. Like you mentioned, Keon Martin, who was one of the starters last year, he's back. Caleb Anderson, who was one of the other starting corners, he's back for another year. I think I think now it's just like they're just adding to the defense because they're bringing more experience to the secondary and specifically the cornerback position. And you have guys behind them too who play like Justin Agu played significant snaps last year. I remember his name. Jalen Clark is a he's a safety, but I want to say he played a little bit corner too. If I'm not mistaken. Last year he's another name. Want to mention Amir McDaniel, who is I want to say he's like the not the third corner, but I want to say that little star position that you have on defense. He played a lot. He's also a redshirt senior, so a lot of experience. A lot of guys coming back to play the cornerback position. And corner is a very hard position. It really is. For those who don't know, it's one of the hardest positions in all of football, I would say. So I think that these guys right here did a great job last year. They're going to be even better this year with experience. And this is just overall just a talented group. And like you said, ball hawk. That's what these guys are.
All right, we're gonna go move to the safeties here. We did miss some outside linebackers, but I don't know why they didn't just put them in a linebacking core because it's kind of a different. Because some of these guys played outside linebacker. They're all listed as linebacker. So outside linebacker, Ashley Williams, the junior, Cameron Whitfield, and Lester Jones, outside linebackers. And but yeah, I think they're good too. I think they just add some to that linebacker core just to kind of cover our tracks here. So safeties. Tyrone Lewis Jr., a redshirt senior. Tyree Skipper, redshirt junior. Cortland Flowers, redshirt junior. Jacorian Norris, freshman. Micaiah Vines, redshirt junior. Jalen Clark, redshirt junior. Kisavion Barnes, Cody Jackson. Colin Jacob, redshirt sophomore. Marion Elam, redshirt sophomore. Bryant Merriweather, redshirt freshman. Aaron Wright, redshirt junior. Late Bates, freshman. Kerry Wilson, redshirt sophomore. Travian Moore, redshirt freshman from Abbeville. So yeah, that's our safeties that we got here. So when you look at the safety position here, like I said, I think these guys are ball hawks too. They definitely can cover down the field. Courtney Flowers did play a little bit of corner at some points here. They put him in a nickel slot. I've seen sometimes last year. So I seen Skipper play last year a little bit. I think these guys are going to do good in the back end. I think the Cajuns back end defense is fine. We're gonna like label our like trouble spots that the Cajuns might actually have once we get through the safeties here. So, how you feel about the safeties entering the 2024 season for the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, Jalen?
Yeah, I feel great about the safety positions also. I feel like if you're going to go out there with two safeties, I feel like, especially those forward names, would come to Cortland Flowers, Tyrone Lewis, Tyree Skipper, Jalen Clark, who I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier. Like you could put two of those guys out there, any two, and I feel like they'll be strong suits for the secondary on the back end. I think the Cajuns are set all together in the secondary. There's another veteran group. A lot of those guys are mentioned. Tyron Lewis being a redshirt senior, Skipper, redshirt junior. I think during the back end, the Cajuns are solid too, all around. The defense has been questionable, I would say, for the last couple of years. But getting these veteran guys throughout all the defense, I think, is great for this team. And I just can't wait until the first game against Grambling, Chief, to see not only offensively, but also defensively, to see how these guys come out. Because all these guys feel like have a chip on their shoulder, especially coming from last year when the team was a lot younger. Now this year it's a lot more veterans. So I think the Cajuns will be a team to reckon with this year in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, I think they almost beat Troy, which was the Sun Belt champion on the road. So Troy's got to make the return trip back to Lafayette this year. So that is something that that's worth note. While I think they lost a lot of one possession games last year, and that is something that a 6-7 record could easily become a 9-3 or somewhere along those lines. Like that record could be flipped if one like a ball bounces a certain way, a different way. That's kind of like how it is in a lot of times in football. So I do think that Dez and them. I think Dez is feeling a little bit of pressure. He did use the transfer portal a little bit more, which I'm kind of glad that he did because you could fill gaps with your roster. And I think like he mentioned it in the Rage Connection podcast. If you go listen to it, which I recommend because it gives a lot of data, like you get to hear from the horse's mouth here. But some of that stuff he was talking about was definitely coach talk, which he does at the press conference. Sometimes you got to try to figure out and filter out through the coach talk to figure out what's actually going on there. So from what I took away from that Raging Cajun Connection interview with Jay Walker was that so I think the two groups that we're really gonna need to focus on, if I had to put problem areas anywhere, to put like some little red exclamation points, like might want to watch this area right here is the tight end position because it just don't have veterans really into it. Terrence Carter and them are gonna do pretty good, I think, but like he mentioned, like in his voice and the way he was talking about it, you can't really hide emotion too much here as a human being too much here. You can be kind of stone cold about it, but like it's gonna be about it. So tight end, I would say, and probably defensive line because of he went into like them having to change technique up a little bit, how they're lining up, but leverage that kind of thing here. But I think the Rage Cajuns, I think Jim's going to do a very good job. Jim Sagato is going to do a very good job because when Dez was talking about him, he mentioned how detail oriented he was, and the last person the Cajuns had that was really detail oriented at like any coach that was kind of like that was Billy Napier. He was like he saw Nick Saban how he did, and he was very in the details. But Jim, they're going to get that same kind of detail orientedness, which I think is going to help them out in the pressure packed parts of the game. So I think that defense is going to take a next level jump here, and that record's going to probably end up becoming a 7 or 8 or 9 win season here if they do what the details inspired to do, and that defense wins championships. So maybe the Cajuns might be in the hunt at the end of the year for a Sun Belt Conference title again here, like they won in 2021 under Billy Napier. So we'll see if that's the case here. The Sun Belt's really an interesting year. I know everybody's kind of looking at Texas State and such, but when you haven't done something before, like win championships in the Sun Belt, it's hard to like the people that have been there before know how it is to be there. Like you have to lose one to win one. Some people say like lose a title to win a
Mm-hmm.
title,
Yep.
and so that's something that I know they're all hyping the Jordan McLeod thing that he came from James Madison. James Madison's gonna have a good chance this year as well, but it's gonna be an interesting one. I'm not completely sold on Texas State winning the Sun Belt Conference. I think that you have to. I don't like if you have to be put in those situations, know what to do. If you're a veteran, you've been in that game before. Like, let's think about Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. He's been there. He went there 7 different times. Okay, like 7 times that he won, and he been there. I think what was it 9 times he went to the Super Bowl, Jalen?
Because he lost. Let's see, he lost to the Giants twice. So you got to think about that too.
Yeah. So he'd been there a lot. He knew how the game worked, and he knew how to prep for that moment there. So look, when you're in that environment and you've been there before, you just know how it works. So I think the Cage will be fine, and we'll just go on from that point there on. So last position groups are gonna look at as kickers and punters. I'm gonna put them in the same category here because it's not a lot of them. So for punters, you got Braden Gilbo, Braxton Gilbo Jr., and Nathan Torney, who's a junior as well. So Braden and Braxton are brothers. They're both from Youngsville, looks like. Did not know that. That's interesting. I'm
That's cool.
assuming. Wait, what? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is cool. You got to go to like college together and stuff. That's always cool. Kickers. Let me go find kickers here. I saw Logan earlier. Let's see. Where's Logan at? Kicker. Let's see. Logan Klotz, Kenneth Almendarez, and Tony Sterner. So Kenneth, he's going to be the place kicker probably this year. I like Kenny, man. Kenny's a great guy to hang out with and stuff. We last year I went with we shot something with George and them. We George Faust. We went over there with them, uh, and it was cool. It was like we had to like Kraski was out there with Caleb White and stuff, and we were all out there and kind of hanging out and stuff. So that was kind of a cool thing to go look at and stuff. So, um, Kitty was a cool guy to hang out with, just walk around the complex and stuff. And That was a cool little thing. Shot some Cajun Nation stuff. It seems like for him, and George kicked a punt that I think touched the end zone, and he to this day he will argue that it did touch the end zone, that it was down to the one. But George, I don't think it. I think you're in the end zone. I think it's going back to the 25. But
Replay.
yeah, well, we need the replay on that one. Uh, so we'll see. I even watched the video multiple times. I still think it hit the end zone. I still think that blade of grass at the complex, whatever. But I do think that this special teams group is going to do very well. Cajuns usually do pretty good with the kickers and punters and stuff, so positions. So we'll see what happens here. I think he'll do good. I think they'll be fine. I don't really have much to say about it. Kenny's been doing this for a couple of years as a senior, so I'm expecting him to have a championship season this year, Sun Belt kicker season. What do you think, Jalen?
Oh, absolutely. Kenny Almendarez has been there for years, kicking it through the uprights, making clutch kicks. By the way, the last couple of years, I would say too. Um, and it goes, and what also goes into it, you got to think about special teams too. You got to think about the punt returns too, kickoff return. We'll give them shout outs. Xylon Perry did a great job kick
Yeah,
returning. I'm pretty sure he's going to get a lot of playing time with that this year because he did phenomenal. And then you got punt return. Jacob Bernard did a lot of that last year. He did a pretty good job too. So you add that, go with those two added with Kenny Almendarez, and then Logan Clark's too. Can't forget about kickoff. So I think special teams is going to have another great year um, overall to go with the offense and also go with the defense. And special teams make plays too. We seen it last year. I was talking about Dalen Cambry's special teams play last year. Like special team can win you some games. So hey, they're part of the team too.
yeah. I think I think that's something we have to really look at here and just kind of see what's going on there. So, like you flip the field here. Like if you're going to put guys in bad, awkward situations here, like the opposing team, get that coffin corner going around the 5, 10 yard line, and that's going to really put some pressure on you here. So that's how special teams makes plays, dude. Like that's really like they get like the possession, the field of possession, like how many yards you got to go down the field and stuff. It can flip field on people really good. So that's something that we're going to have to look at and see how well they do this year. I expect them to do great here. Like I said, my two spots that I'm worried about with the Cajuns would be defensive line and tight end. I do think defensive line is going to make another level upgrade basically here. I think offensive line will do good. I think wide receivers are good. I think quarterback position will do good here. I think this is going to be the year that the Cajuns finally break the 6-7 year. But I'm not going to reveal all my tricks up my sleeve here, how many games I think they're actually going to win here. I did mention 7, 8, 9. They might win all of them. They might go upset Wake Forest. I don't know. They might go beat Tulane at Cajun Field. We'll see. But which Troy's head coach, he's now the head coach at Tulane. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes for him here. But I think that'll be all. Thank y'all for tuning in here to the Fishbowl Radio. Hope you have a great and wonderful day here. Jalen, want to say anything before we get off the air here?
Hey, it's been great talking about the groups. I want my Cajuns to succeed. Everybody out there, just go Cajuns.
Okay, before we get off here, Fan Day is Saturday at Blackham Coliseum. You can get there at 12 to 2. That's you can get a free T-shirt, basically. Get autographs for the players. Go mingle with some fans. If you did sign up for the Young Raging Cajun Club, which is only like $50, and you get like free access, to football games, basketball games, and baseball games. It's great. I think it's a great thing to have anyway there. So that is something that you could look at there and see. But I do think that it'll look good, basically, what you can see here. So thank y'all for tuning in. I hope you have a great, wonderful day, and we'll see you here next time on the Fishbowl Reel. Have a good night, Fishbowl.